Hey, it's Stephen and Frederick, and this is how I cook. St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and corned beef and cabbage is the perfect meal for St. Patrick's Day. So giving you plenty of time to watch this video, go out and get some corned beef, and make it if you want to. So this is corned beef brisket. There's also just plain brisket. For this recipe, make sure you get the corned beef brisket. It comes in the cryovac. There's a little like jelly and the pickling spice. So first, here's our skillet. We're going to turn it on around medium. We want to get it nice and hot. Next, I'm going to open the corned beef. Like I said, there's some thick liquid in here. But don't be afraid of it. It's just flavor. I'm going to be covering this in paprika. It's going to be both sides, so it doesn't matter if you put the fat side down first or the non-fat side down first. This isn't necessarily an Irish recipe or Irish preparation, but as I always say, not the right way, not the way you should do it, it's the way I cook. It is very tasty though. All right, I'm gonna rinse my hands, let the paprika sit in a little, and the skillet continues to get hot. Just gonna put a little vegetable oil in the skillet. Tablespoon, tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons. Move it around a little. We aren't really frying the brisket. We're just going to brown it. We're not going to cook it permanently in here. The oil is starting to shimmer, you can see. So we're going to put the brisket in the frying pan. It didn't sizzle, so I should have probably waited about another half a minute, but it will. Again, this is just browning, so no big deal. Okay, so it's been around 3 minutes. One side of the brisket has been browned. Let's see what it looks like. Great. And now we're going to brown the other side. You can see it's a little brown. By no means is it fully cooked through. We want to get some nice flavor. So we'll let this go 3 to 4 minutes. It's been around another 3 minutes, so let's look at this side. Great. Don't worry that it's black. That's really just a lot of flavor. It's all going to come off in the crock pot anyway. So we are now going to take the brisket and put it in the crock pot, fat side up. I didn't put any vegetable oil or anything in the crock pot. You don't really need to with this. Turn the fire down to low, and I'm putting 2 packets of onion soup mix. Just going to cook this a little. I think they call it blooming. We're going to get the little bits that were formed when we were browning the crock pot. We don't want this to burn. And now we're adding some ginger ale. This is diet ginger ale. You can use regular ginger ale if you want. And I just use store brand. No sense in spending a ton of money on ginger ale since it's going to be cooking for 6 to 8 hours anyway. So we'll just let this all mix together. So I'm going to pour a little ginger ale into a measuring cup. I'm sure I could have just poured it directly on, but... And then pour that in as well. And now that there's liquid in here, I could turn the heat up. There's no fear of the onion soup burning. So this is starting to boil. That's all we really want. We just want to make sure everything's nicely incorporated. The ginger ale, the onion soup mix, and the paprika. Turn this off. And then directly in over the corned beef. The corned beef is not totally submerged, and there's some onion soup remaining in the frying pan. So we're going to add some more ginger ale to hopefully get the onion soup out of the frying pan. And to also submerge the corned beef. Pretty good, pretty clean. And there. So the corned beef is totally submerged. We're going to put the lid on and turn this on to low. This will now sit for 6 hours. We will come back, prep the Brussels sprouts, and take it from there. There's a little ginger ale left, so you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a cocktail with ginger ale, but it's a little early. It's 9:15 in the morning, so we'll do this around 5. Okay, see you in 6 hours. So it's not been 6 hours, and I'm back. As in real life, sometimes you forget something, and when I was cleaning up, I forgot the pickling spice that came with the corned beef. We want to add the pickling spice. Don't throw this away. This is a lot of flavor. Just going to pour it in there. Don't really need to stir it around that much. It'll get moist and sink in. So now everything seems to be done. See you in 6 hours. So we're coming up on 6 hours. I've turned this every 2 hours. I'm going to turn it again. It really shrinks. It was a 2.5 pound corned beef, and it's really shrunk down. But there are only 2 of us, but it's really good. I'm not going to say we're going to eat it all tonight. I'm just not going to say it. So I flipped it again for the 3rd time. You don't really need to do that. And now I'm going to add the Brussels sprouts. It's typically corned beef and cabbage. Brussels sprouts look like little cabbage. They're not little cabbage. They are in the same family of vegetables as broccoli and cabbage, but they're different. I prefer them. It's just easier to eat and all. Some people think they're very bitter. They're not. They're called Brussels sprouts. They were popular in Belgium mainly, and then exported around the world. Over the years, they've bred them to be less bitter, so give them a chance. If you would prefer cabbage, sure. Get a head of cabbage, cut it up into wedges and put that in here. Also, people like to put in potatoes, people like to put in carrots. I don't know if you remember my pot roast episode. I don't put a lot of vegetables in with my pot roast or my corned beef because I think it becomes all very one note in flavor. So you can make something on the side as well. So right now I've rinsed off all the Brussels sprouts and I'm just going to cut off the bottoms and throw them in here. We'll cover it over. And for 2 more hours, we'll put it in there, and then basically we'll be good to go. So see you in 2 hours. So it's been 8 hours. The brisket's done. The Brussels sprouts are done. For the unveiling. Boy, this looks beautiful. Just take the Brussels sprouts out. Everything's been plated. I'm just going to slice a little here. They say cut across the grain. You can see very clearly here on the meat the grain is going this way. So we're going to cut this way. And look at how beautiful that is. I'm not going to eat any right now. But here's my version of corned beef and cabbage. It's corned beef and Brussels sprouts. There's the one matter of leftover ginger ale, what to do. So I looked up on the internet what drink I could make with ginger ale. And there was something called ginger ale highball. So that's what I picked. I remember as a kid my parents drinking highballs when neighbors would come over and company would come over. I didn't know what it was, but as I got older I realized it was Seagram 7 and 7-Up. Sort of like a 7 and 7, or exactly a 7 and 7. So all this is rye. They say 1.5 ounces. That's about 1.5 ounces. And some ginger ale. So there we have it. A ginger ale highball. Takes me back to the 60s or early 70s. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great week.